Hello there, Mystic Games here, guys. Welcome to a Against the Storm video. This game is made by, or developed by Aramite Games and published by The Hooded Horse. So I want to open with that. I played this in early access. This video is going to be a little bit of a guide on the Overworld. I highly recommend that if you guys are getting into this for the first time, you either watch this video, obviously, if you're watching here. You probably have some level of experience, but if you haven't and you're just trying to jump in, this is going to help you guys with this portion of the game. I do plan on doing a little bit more videos on other things, such as like what upgrades you should get, etc., etc. But we're going to start today with the Smoldering City. So every time you start the game, you're going to have a field of vision and movement, and then you have the shadows here. But you will always see the Smoldering City. I'm not going to click on it, but if you click on this or you click on the button that says Smoldering City up at the top, you will be brought to a screen that has pretty much your upgrades, the deeds, the game history, and the home listed on it. The upgrades are extremely important, and the deeds are helpful as well, because that helps you level up, which unlocks more upgrades. But the Smoldering City is like every time you do a settlement and you complete a settlement, you should look at the Smoldering City, see if you can afford any upgrades, and if there's an upgrade that is worth your time. So that's pretty much all you need to know about the Smoldering City. I don't want to get into the upgrade system or deeds or anything like that. I don't want to go too in depth on that because this is an overview of the Overworld, which is this part. The next part I want to talk about is the vision and the movement, which I've already discussed slightly in the beginning here. Obviously, I cannot see the whole map. I can see question marks, which we'll delve into a little bit, but I cannot see the whole map. I can see the seals, which are these markers. It'll tell me how many fragments I need, what the reward is, and then the consequences of it. So I've completed the lead seal, so I have that, and it will still give me the reward, and it takes 12 fragments. Pretty much, you're generally trying to get seals, but I would recommend as a newer player, you just enjoy the game. Like, don't worry about seals, you know. Play on Settler, which is the minimal difficulty, and play on Pioneer if you want, once you get a little bit more established and you feel more confident. You also get more vision and more movement as you progress through the game, which is important to know. Those are upgrades. And that's pretty much it on the vision and movement. But there's a lot of factors in choosing on where you're going to go. So what I kind of want to discuss next are the biomes and then making a settlement, just to show you guys some of the differences. So on the top left of the screen, you're going to see the marshlands right now. So the light blue zone right here that I'm going to move over and center a little bit more on, these are considered the marshlands. So this is a zone, right? You can tell by the light blue coloring, right? So if I move over to this red zone that's in kind of right up here, it's called the Scarlet Orchard. If I move down here a bit, we have a green zone, which is the Royal Woodlands, and if we move away from that, we have the Coral Forests, and I think within the reach of the Smoldering City, I think that's really all you have access to. You also have, like, out here a little bit deeper is the Cursed Royal Woodlands. But as you can see on my screen, it's literally telling me this is too far away from your latest established town for you to reach it. So I can't get there. But that's another zone. So when you're looking at the map to move, these zones, I don't want to say they matter in a sense, but they do matter. Like, they're going to have different effects. So we're going to click on the Scarlet Orchard, and we're going to just take a quick look on if we choose to make a settlement here, what we get. So I click on it, it brings up my preparation screen. So we get our embarkation bonuses on this side. We get, you know, the difficulty choice. we get the caravan choice, which is very important. You should always look at your caravan choice and the resources that are in your caravan choice. So if I pick lizards, you can also look at like what they like and all this kind of stuff, which is important. As a new player, you should be playing probably on settler and you won't have to worry about a lot of the likes immediately, but you should be concerned with what they like. Especially going forward as you want to learn the game better. But you can pick a caravan. You know, you see how many you're going to get, which is 6 lizards. If you choose this caravan in the center, you get 6 beavers. If I choose the bottom caravan, I get 2 harpies and 4 foxes. So I get an even amount of people, whatever ones I choose here. The starting resources are slightly different. So that's a factor you're going to want to play in. Like, this guy likes pickled goods. That's actually a good starting resource for him. The others are basic foods, which you guys will learn what's basic foods and what's more of a specialty food or an advanced food. We're not going to go into that in this video either. But these are your caravan choices. This is important. Summary. This is the length. So if I get 14 impatience points, I lose. If I get 14 reputation points, I win. And this has average fertile soil. If I do win, I get 42 food stockpiles, I get 2 CL fragments, and 70 experience. Then we look at the conditions. These are your seasonal effects. They won't really, normally they don't tell you what they are. So I'm going to have 2 positive ones during the drizzle season. It's almost always, I don't think it's ever not the drizzle season for these, which that'd be a cool modifier for them to do in the future as like a, additional thing. And then you have 3 negative ones that will appear eventually. Normally, it is affected by your hostility with the woods, which again, that's when you actually go into your settlement and I hit embark and I begin this. That's where all that stuff comes into play. This video is Overworld. We're not going to get into that today. This part, I just want to stress this for everybody. This part of the game is actually very important. Before you even embark, a lot of the choices you make can very much assist if you're going to win or lose a map, essentially. So you should really look through caravan summary and conditions decently. As a new player, it's hard for me to explain exactly like what's really good and what's not, because it's going to vary on your knowledge and on your play style in a sense. There's also a lot of RNG in this game. This is essentially a deck roguelike kind of game. So as you progress, it does get easier. And I will go over that in my upgrades video that I plan on doing after this one. But there are things that will change and modify the game as you continue playing. But in the Scarlet Orchard, you have trees that will provide you with wood, a potential chance of copper, a chance of pigment, and a chance of plant fibers. These are the resources that you can find in the glades. Which are important to know. And again, as you learn the game and you learn more about how the game functions, you'll understand why you want to know what resources are available on the map. We're going to kind of go over embarkation, although this is a lot to do with the upgrades. You want to embark, and my recommendation usually for embarking for a lot of players would be, generally, once you get this upgrade, I almost always like to take people. I like to start my town with usually around 10 guys, if not higher. It just helps transition you into the game a lot quicker, which is important. And then I usually look for either stone, or if I have clay, and I take the one that I don't have. Again, these are later upgrades. And then out of planks, bricks, and cloth, I usually take cloth, because cloth I don't have access to, which again I will get later in my upgrades, and once I have it, it'll be less important for me to take this, but right now I take this almost every time. That being said, you're going to want to choose your embarkation goods based on what you have access to. If I didn't have access to the upgrades in the Citadel of planks, I would be taking planks instead of cloth every time, because I feel like it's a more important resource generally. Alright, so that's a little bit about settlements. I'm going to click on another location, and we're going to do the marshlands just for an example. So the caravans will essentially stay the same. They really don't change until you do this settlement. So these are my 3 choices for my next settlement. They don't change. The marshlands does change how it's played. The length is going to be the same. The rewards are the same, but right here, fertile soil, not a lot. You don't want to count on farming food if you don't have a lot of fertile soil, because you might not find it. This map is going to have less than the Scarlet Orchard. The conditions are important. You have these little modifiers up here. Gathering speed is increased for every 2 workers. Doesn't affect the woodcutters. And the marshland has a giant resource nodes that can be found in Forbidden Glades. Each will have a different one. That's good to know. This has the trees will give you wood, mushrooms, leather, and then these are the resources you can find in the map, which are actually more limited, which kind of helps you decide what you want for buildings and stuff when you're in the game. But again, that's more in-game, which I may do a video on that later. I don't want to go too deep into this, but that's essentially settlements. I highly recommend that you look over your caravans, you look at what the map provides you, and then you choose your caravan accordingly. And you also should look at goods, just because they do help you be successful. Base goods are important to know as well. As you can see, I was saying earlier, I don't have access to cloth. I have planks, and I have bricks, but I do not have cloth, so I normally will take cloth. So the next thing I want to discuss in this video is world events and modifiers. So as you move out to the map, you're generally looking at seals. I mentioned them earlier just quickly. Like this map, I won't be going for the silver seal. I will probably do just a little bit of grinding to get more upgrades, simply because both my paths to the silver seals, in my opinion, kind of are not great. I'd probably go this way, and I'd probably try to hit these markers and then go here at the end. The issue is I don't have a good choice of markers in this area. Like, it's just dead other than here. So I pretty much have to go this way, and I have to hope these markers are something that I'm going to be able to do. We're going to look at the markers currently on the map, the world modifiers here. So this has to go back to the settlement construction. Right now, if I pick the Coral Forest, that's not a good example. Let's pick the Scarlet Orchard, because we did one up here. If I pick the Scarlet Orchard up here, you can see on the top left, effects have changed slightly. And so have the rewards. So, caravan same. Summary. I get machinery parts now, if I do this one victorious. For this, this soil stays the same. But now you have the 2 normal modifiers. And you have the ruins modifier, which is this thing right here on the top of the screen. I'm building next to it. So this gives me, this region was settled very frequently in the past, and the chance of finding ruins are higher. Now what ruins do, and I'm not going to go too deep into this stuff, but what this does is essentially when I go through different glades, like cut through the trees to get to the different sections in gameplay, there's a chance of finding certain buildings that I may not have the blueprint for. That can be extremely good or extremely bad depending on the location of the building, what the building is. This is generally considered like a positive modifier though. If you do a negative modifier, let me find something that they would consider a negative. Right? So these have, on the top left, they have a red square. These are considered kind of like negative modifiers. This is green around the little skull token there. That's considered a positive modifier. This is a positive modifier. This is a positive modifier. So generally positive modifiers don't provide you with royal resupplies. Royal resupplies are very nice. I don't think you can really upgrade the Royal Reese. I was kind of hoping you could do that in difficulty, but I don't think you can. I've never actually really looked at that. Something like this, you can look at on the map and be like, okay, so what does this do? Impatience grows 50% quicker, but every ongoing trade route reduces impatient generation by 20%. So, as someone that knows the game, I would not consider that like a difficult... well, I shouldn't say it's not a difficult. It's not a super difficult modifier because I have the means to reduce it. You actually have to get an upgrade for trade routes. If you didn't have that yet and you went over here and clicked on this one, you're probably going to have a hard time winning. This one increases the storm every year, which honestly, that's not horrible generally. Sometimes having a longer storm is not a bad thing. If you're in a good place, it doesn't matter. If you're in a bad place, it matters. So this is very based on your RNG. This one, as I said, isn't really bad or good. I actually consider that in the middle, even though it's considered a positive. This one I would consider good. Glades have increased fertile soil. As I said, I'm not going to get too much into the official gameplay. I'll probably do a separate video on that, but fertile soil is very good, especially if you have humans. And the Forsaken Temple has a higher chance of receiving timed orders. That's okay. Timed orders can be extremely difficult, but there's no negative side to not doing the timed. You just don't have to choose the timed orders then. I'm simply going to say this again. Pathing matters in this game. If you're going for a seal in particular, it matters more. But if I was going for a seal, I would take this path because I would probably go... I'd probably hit this just to hit it. I'd go here next. And then I would try to go here from here, or get close to it. Go here, and then depending on how much time I'd have, I'd either go here, try to get this, and then go here. But it's hard to say. When you're going for seals, that's kind of the last part of the video, just really quick here. You want to be able to get the royal resupplies, I would argue, because what this does is it gives you bonus you have the option to get bonus embarkation points here, bonus movement, and then something, it's more steel fragments. So you can either help get more steel fragments to make sure you're going to achieve the ability to even unlock the seal, or you can get embarkation points, which are fantastic. If you can get like a couple of these just for points, because everyone gives 4 points if you choose to go with the 4 points, and you can get up to like 8 extra points right here, you're in a good spot for when you go to a seal, because you're going to be able to get a lot of extra bonuses over here. And there are bonuses later that I haven't unlocked where you can get like farms for the fertile soil, which is very good. It gives you you're going to have consistent food. There's just a bunch of good stuff you can get early that will really help you be successful. But this video has went on long enough. This is the Overworld, guys. I think I covered pretty much everything you need to know. But I would really just recommend, if you're a new player, stay around this area, play on Settler. If you feel feel more confident, play on Pioneer. But just have fun and get your resources, get your upgrades kind of started, and then worry about seals. Anyways, in the next video, I'll probably bring up actual gameplay and kind of how the game functions. Alright guys, have a good one. Thanks for joining me, and just have a good day. Later.